What's been the biggest difference you've noticed from the defense recruiting getting back to UNC after being gone for
from a recruiting standpoint?
Just go recruiting, yeah.
I tell you, I've seen a big investment into facilities, things that attract young recruits when they come on campus. This building, the indoor facility, the locker room. There's been a big focus on making sure that when the kid steps in this building and around this campus, we're competitive with the other universities that we are charged to recruit against in this environment of football. So I think the attraction we have with having one of the best academic schools in America, on top of having some of the best facilities in the country and in our league, gives us a distinct advantage when it comes to recruiting. And I think we've always had the education, and now the facilities with Coach Brown and the infrastructure they've created has given us a chance to compete on that level as well. So that's probably the biggest difference in when I was here before and when I'm here now.
What do you like about your secondary room right now? What stands out? Players and things?
I tell you, I have a group in that room that is committed to getting better. Every single one of those guys, the day I got in here, there was not a pushback of, well, we used to do it this way. And I've had that places I've been, well, this is what I'm comfortable with. They're like, coach me, coach. Show me what I need, what I don't know. Help me out understand concepts. Show me the big picture of football. Help me refine my craft and get better. And I think when you have a group of kids that are smart, that are eager and hungry, and for everything they want, their drive and passion to get better matches that. And I think that's when you have a good room. You can't want a lot of things, but not want to put the work in. And this group wants to put the work in. So if I asked them to go run through this brick wall, they probably would do it and say, why'd you want me to do that after they did it, which is awesome. So I have a group that's a bunch of sponges. For every little piece of info I can give them, they want to soak it up. So I really like the group. They got a lot of personality. We laugh, we get after it, but they know when to flip the switch. And I'm really, really eager. This time of year as coaches, you're ready to go on vacation. That's great, but I'm really can't wait to get the fall camp to get these guys going, to have a second go with them on the field from spring ball.
Consistency was an issue with the secondary last year. They had guys that had real high segments during games, and then otherwise. How do you gauge them kind of shaving off some of the inconsistency, especially during the offseason, with the reports you get from guys about stuff that they're doing and otherwise?
The number one thing to me that builds consistency amongst a secondary is communication, okay? So you show me a really consistent group of DBs, I'll show you a group that are unbelievable communicators. And that's probably been the number one thing we focus on is communication, right? There's a lot of things I can't help you with as a coach, right? I can't make you taller. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a strength guy. I can't really put pounds on you, right? But one thing we can do is before that ball is snapped, we can be the best communicating group of DBs in the country. Because if you are where you're supposed to be, you know what to do, and you communicate with everybody left and right, you have a chance to survive every down. So the one thing in our room when it comes to communication that I've brought here is name, command, and value, right? Call that person's name because they'll probably respond to you, right? Tell them what to do, and when you tell them, give them a voice that they can hear. And if we can do that, that's going to make us a consistent group. Because no matter where you've been, elementary school, Pop Warner ball, if you don't talk, you don't win. If you don't talk, you're inconsistent. So our biggest thing to do is let's communicate. Because here's the thing, if 5 guys are wrong on a call, we'll still survive it as long as the 5 of us are right in what we do. So that's the biggest thing we have to do. The biggest thing we've been working on, spring ball, summer, is communication.
As a quick follow-up, the theme with the new defense that you and Coach Chisholm brought here is simplification. And a big part of that is communication. If you don't have 15 things to call, only a few, it should be easier. Have you seen that transition with the guys, and that's a lot easier for them?
Yeah, we're going to be good at a few things that we can do well all the time. Rain, sleet, snow, sunny, don't matter, right? And because of that, there's less communication across the spectrum of the defense. Now, we're not going to line up and just be simple Simons every day. So, and that's on us. What we do on defense is back-end intensive from the standpoint of communicating, talking, and working through whatever problems all these offensive gurus like to do these days, right? So we're the ones that got to deal with the motion. We got to deal with the formation stacks and bunches. We got to deal with the unbalanced formations, the tempo. We have to, right? So for us, it's got to be simple in our minds. We have to understand things at the conceptual level, not memorize plays, and we got to talk ourselves through things in a quick amount of time. So you got to know your stuff, but you also got to be able to communicate your stuff to other people.
Charles, along those lines, there's always been this kind of a big picture. There's always been an ebb and flow between offense and defense. One always seems to have the advantage and it flips the other way. With the spread offenses exploding 20 years ago, with all the motions and the RPOs and all these different things, it seemed like the initial effort by defensive coordinators was to do too much, try to be complex. And it sounds like, listening to you and listening to Gene, the way to defend that somewhat successfully is just to go bare bones simple so the guys understand what they're supposed to do instead of trying to scheme so much against it. Is that accurate?
I'll never say the bare bones things because I think people can drill into you over time. You got to have wrinkles, but you can't outsmart yourself, right? We can't beat ourselves. We have to make an offense earn every blade of grass they get. So I can't give them a gain of 8 because we had an open gap and we busted. I can't give up an explosive pass because the safety thought this, the star thought that, and the corner thought that. That can't happen. So for us, keeping it simple simply means not calling one defense, but everything you call, we know what to do no matter what the offense does. And to me, that gives you a chance to win every down. When you bust, it's funny. The quarterback always finds the guy that's open, right? Right? He don't ever throw it to the guy that's double covered. So we got to make sure that we don't bust. We got to put ourselves in position to make plays. And the only way you do that is to communicate, get lined up, and execute. And I think that's where you go from maybe you don't need 75 calls, but you might need 30. But if you can't execute those 30s, then it goes to 25. So offenses are going to do what they do. And our guys have to be able to adjust on the fly to whatever happens. And at the same time, you don't let an offense dictate the game to you as well. I think Coach Chiz, we have ways to dictate some tempos to them to change it up on them as well, but we have to be able to execute. Bottom line is execution, period. If we don't execute, we don't have a chance.
Charlton, I want to piggyback on that. You mentioned the star position. A couple guys were banged up during the spring, but how is the competition, just the understanding of that position growing?
The competition at that position and every position in the secondary is up for battle, and guys are competing. The one thing we talk about is you have to find a way to see the field, and it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your last name, it doesn't matter what you did before Coach Chiz around on campus, right? Everybody has to earn a job, and every job is up for grabs in the back end. No one's grandfathered in, right? That doesn't happen here. So my thing is, if you're good enough, you're old enough. So if you just fresh off the boat and got here last week, go earn a job. And if you don't want to take a job or earn a job, you're probably in the wrong room because that's a competitive room, and we're going to make it competitive. So I think the competition is great, and we have guys learning multiple positions, right? So that you have a chance to affect the game in different ways at different positions. So I'm looking for the best 5 players, right? Whether you play corner, safety, star, whatever. We want the best 5, and then we want the best 5 after that, because in a perfect world, we want 10 guys rolling. We want to have depth.
Coach Pat Walter, WRL Sports. People have been talking about Tony Grimes' talent since he was in middle
Can you say it again?
People have been talking about Tony Grimes' talent since he was in middle school. I'm wondering what you've noticed and how do you even define defensive back talent?
I think it starts with consistent performance, right? I think it starts with guys continually affect the game for the positive, and I think it's guys that limit the bad things that happen to them because they have great technique and fundamentals, right? A lot of guys, put it this way, most guys at this level have talent on the offensive side and defensive side of the ball. When you get to the NFL, everybody is talented, right? Bad things happen to you when you have a breakdown of fundamentals and technique or communication. And so for a guy like Tony, I think Tony, as well as some of our other guys, they all have talent. And what we have to continually do, and what he has to continually do, is work to effectively do that on a consistent basis, right? No one wants a player that is up and down. No one wants a defense or an offense or a special unit that's up and down. So consistency of performance is what I measure a great player by, right? So a lot of guys have potential. A lot of guys have numbers. It's the guys that are consistently effective are the ones to me that have great careers. Some of the great ones I've coached, I've had some first rounders. They may have had talent, they were always consistent in what they did. Now they gave up plays, and they had those guys on scholarship too on offense, right? People are going to make plays, but it's how consistent are you over time? To me, is what defines if you're a great player.
Is there anything about Tony in particular that stood out that you saw as soon as you got? Some guys just pop right away.
Yeah. Hunger and work ethic, right? No matter who I am, if I walk outside and see a group working out, he stands out to me by his work ethic. And I think when you start with work ethic, that allows your talent to take over. Now it's consistency of performance. So I think his hunger to come up and meet, his hunger to want to know more about defense, his hunger to want to get his technique and fundamentals better, that's been nonstop since I've gotten the building, right? And I think when a guy shows you that, you're looking for that guy now to have some consistency going forward. And I think that's what he's done a really good job of seeking out knowledge. I haven't had to pull him to my office. I've had to push him out of it. You know what I'm saying? Which is awesome as a coach.
So just sort of generally, you and Gene were apart for a couple of years. He's mentioned it was so important to come back together. How did you guys maintain that relationship? Why did it endure?
I tell you, when I first met Coach years ago, when he interviewed me for the job, he interviewed me. He probably gave me one of the most grueling interviews since I've been in Special Forces in the Air Force. Right, the interview the first time around, and then I didn't hear from him for like 2 weeks. So I was like, I didn't get that job. And then he called me, and we started this relationship. And I tell you, the amount of respect I have for him as a man, as a father, as a coach, as a mentor, that he helped me learn some things as a coach, big picture wise, and I appreciate that. And once we left, we stayed in contact all the time. We met in the summers to talk ball. Every school I've went to, he's been an ambassador for me and a champion for me to help me along the way. So for me, when you have a guy you didn't know, you go through the process to work for him, then you go through the process of being a mentor and a guy you can lean on for almost anything in life. And you have that opportunity, because again, it's about people. And I just like those players, I would run through a brick wall for Chiz. Ain't nothing he could ask me to do that I wouldn't do. So I think when you have that kind of respect, it allows you to work efficiently together, because you know where both of you coming from, right? Work's never an issue. Professionalism is never an issue. Trust is never an issue. And that's so big in any profession.